just the view that other people have of you changes a lot with a disability. And it's kind of something that you can't control, but it does add a little more difficulty to that.
Welcome back to the Rolling With It podcast, episode number 2 here. Michael alongside Bailey. And Bailey, today we're going to get into the topic of relationships. They're very important. Everybody needs some relationships in their life. So let's jump right in. I think we should just start with kind of talking about the idea that it is hard to make friends when you have a disability, and it's quite honestly a lot different making friends when you have a disability. So, kind of just anywhere you want to take it, let's get the conversation started.
I mean, I think kind of what you said, it is a lot harder with a disability because I think that there are people who unfortunately do view your disability as a burden or something that they don't want to have to deal with. And it does make things a lot harder. On the flip side of that, there are people who go out of their way to show you that they want you around. And it kind of shows up in small ways. Like if they invite you somewhere, to dinner or something, they always pull out a chair. They make sure that they're going somewhere that is accessible and they think about things and consider things. But I think that it is a lot harder to make friends with a disability. And I think it's a lot harder to maintain friendships. And I think just the view that other people have of you changes a lot with a disability. And it's kind of something that you can't control. But it does add a little more difficulty to that.
I think that you can also talk to this experience as well, but I know for at least me, like having always had a disability, that's all people have seen. And so they are more used to it. But I think, as we've said in our last episode, episode number 1, um, people aren't used to seeing disabled people. We're kind of the out of the norm, so to speak. When you become disabled or you haven't lived that way your entire life, I think you can really find out that who you really stuck with you in life. I don't know if you have had that experience, but I've had friends that maybe have become disabled later in life, and a lot of people have left them. And I think that that's when you can truly find out these are the people that I want in my life and that I need in my life.
I definitely have had that experience because I think that I had a lot of friendships that kind of did not stand the test of ending up with a disability. It's unfortunate, but the ones that did are the people that I want in my life and the people that are there through thick and thin. You're there for them through thick and thin and are very, very meaningful. Um, I would say that I had most of my friendships changed when I ended up disabled, especially just because a lot of my friendships were with teammates. And obviously, once I became disabled, I wasn't swimming anymore. So I wasn't seeing my teammates 20 hours a week. And a lot of those friendships kind of faded away very, very quickly. Kind of learned the difference between almost like a convenience sort of friendship, like you're seeing these people every day, you're friendly, you talk, you have fun, versus like a meaningful connection and meaningful relationship of people who genuinely want to be there and want to be in your life and who will show up no matter what. So it definitely has had a huge impact on relationships for me and just, I don't know, trying to make friends because it is scarier now because I think it's hard to try to put myself out there and expect people to see me for just me instead of just immediately see a disability and see like barriers and like almost like more effort. And that's kind of sometimes people see like, oh, somebody's got a disability. It's a lot more effort to be around them because I can't just say, hey, want to go to this place. I have to say like, hey, want to go get lunch? Let's make sure this place is accessible and like think through things a little bit more. So it does put a strain on some relationships, unfortunately. I think that probably anybody who has ended up with a disability has probably had the same experience where not all relationships last through that. It's very unfortunate. It's a terrible feeling, but it is the way that it goes, I guess.
Yeah, and I think being disabled and like I think one of the top things that my friends at least have learned of like, oh, yeah, like I do have to think about like if I'm gonna invite, I remember specifically in college, um, one of my student groups that I was a part of was gonna have like an end of the year party, and they were organizing it, they were gonna send out invitations, and I was basically I didn't go because it wasn't accessible. It was in an apartment of one of the students that wasn't accessible. And at the time, I was like, oh, yeah, like that's kind of a bummer. Like it kind of made me feel out of place because I had been so close to these friends of mine that I made in college. And then they, not intentionally, but they just didn't think about, oh, let's have it in a place where Michael can attend and, still enjoy what it was supposed to be. And so I think a lot of times it can feel excluding when they don't do that and kind of think about those things of, is this accessible or can everybody attend whatever event or whatever it is that you're doing? And I think that that's kind of just, it's hard enough to make friends, like we've said, but then add in that piece of like feeling excluded. And it just is like a snowball effect of kind of like, man, like I got to work 10 times harder to make a friend. And then when I do make a friend, they probably don't think about this stuff. So then it's like, I almost kind of think, I thought, I should say, as a kid, like I wasn't really invited to a whole lot of things as a kid because I think a lot of my friends and their parents just thought I couldn't do things versus like checking to see, hey, this is accessible. Do you want to come?
Yeah, I think it almost is better to have people checking because I think in my life, my boss does a really, really, really good job of asking me about things because we have events that we do and different things. And he'll always ask, like, would you want to do this? And if my answer is yes, he's like, okay, like, let's make sure that you can. And it always is very meaningful to me to have somebody in my corner thinking about that. And just when we have like meetings and stuff like that, like he's always the first to make sure that there's a place at the table for me, that I can get there, that a chair's pulled out, that there's room, and that I'm not sitting over in the corner because somebody didn't think about something. So I think for me, it always is better to be asked, would you want to do this? Or just in general, people asking like, hey, can you do this? Or like, what does it look like for you? Because I think the assumption of, oh, Bailey can't do this, when a lot of times it's also not the right assumption. I think people have not a great idea of what I can and can't do. And so there's kind of an assumption of like, Bailey can't do this. Let's just not ask Bailey because I think people are trying to be very considerate and maybe not hurt my feelings because they think it's better to maybe not remind me of things that they think that I can't do, which they are things that I can do most of the time. But I think it's always better when people ask me, like, can you do this? Would you want to do this? How can we make this work for you? Because it just kind of shows that people want you around and will go out of their way to make sure that you do feel included. Because I think, kind of what you're saying, when people just automatically are like, oh, I don't know if, Bailey or Michael could do that. Let's just not ask them. Like, that's probably easier, probably better. I don't think it is. I think it's very uninclusive. It makes you feel excluded and kind of terrible. Like, oh, people don't want me around enough to even just ask if I want to be there, even if I can't do it. Because that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of times I will go and be around my friends, my family, whatever, even if they're doing something that I can't do. Like, I still like to be included. I still like to be around people and be able to have conversations with people and know that people want me around, even if I can't join everything that they're doing, which I also think most of the time there is a way for me to do whatever the event or activity is for the most part. I think it's always better just to ask. And if you're not sure if somebody can do something or if they'd want to be invited, it's just as easy to just say like, "Hey, would you want to come? This is what it's going to be like. I don't know if it's accessible. I don't know what that looks like. If you want to, we can try to figure it out." Than to just assume they can't do the same things as everybody else. Let's just not ask them. Because I think that that is kind of almost more painful for me, at least, I would say.
Yeah, I think also that goes back to our first video in the misconceptions of that we aren't independent or that we can't do things. Um, it's always better to ask. And I mean, in my opinion, like, what's the worst that can happen? You look into it and you can't do it. That's life. Like there are just
Yeah.
realities in our lives that we can't do certain things, and that's okay. Like we just have to accept that fact. But I do agree that it is way easier to just ask and try to be inclusive at least, rather than being like, oh, they probably can't do this, so let's not ask them. Um, because I don't know about you, like it took a kind of a mental toll on me when I was younger of being like, I always had friends over at my house. Like I didn't really go a ton of places outside or hang out. Like I wasn't your typical like go to the mall kid or like do the I don't know what teenagers do these days, but like I didn't do that stuff as a kid because I was never really invited that much because I don't think people thought I could do it.
Yeah. I think kind of the same thing for me. It was a very big mental thing to realize kind of like, oh, people stopped inviting me because I'm disabled now. Like they don't think that I can do things. They don't want me around anymore. Like it was a very, very mentally taxing thing to kind of realize and to kind of go through and kind of made me not want to put myself out there at all because I kind of always felt like, oh, like people don't really want me around anymore. Like I don't want to be around people who don't want me around. Um, it it definitely took a toll on me mentally. And it still does when people kind of just exclude me. Like I genuinely would just rather people say like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. I don't know if it's accessible. You're like you can look at it and see if it works for you or not. Like if you just tell me where you're going, what you're doing, I can look into it and figure out. I can Google it and see photos and tell you if I can get in there or not or whatever. I think that that is always just it makes me feel better to know that people at least want me there. Even if I look online and there's a flight of stairs to get in wherever people are going, at least I know people wanted me there. And there are times like if I'm like, oh, like I can't actually get there, sometimes people will be like, oh, let's go somewhere else then. And that's better. Like it's more welcoming. It is very considerate. I love the people in my life that do that. They're the best people in the world. But the people that I guess just kind of don't ask, don't invite, don't try are the ones that, kind of make me feel like, oh, like people don't want me around. And it doesn't make me feel good because I feel like it is very dependent on my disability because I am still the same person that I was. I still have just as much value and just as much to offer, and just as much, I guess, conversation or value to add to the conversation. But I can't do that if you don't consider things, I guess, or just don't go out of your way to ask, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that I I don't think it's too much to ask of other people. I think kind of going back to our first video, if you haven't checked that out, go check that out on our page. But the idea that we have to conform to society so much because the world wasn't made for us. I don't think it's that much to ask to be like, hey, at least consider us. Like, if it's not if you know that you have a friend in a wheelchair and you're planning a birthday party, try to think of them at least and say, can they do this? Or let's move it to a place that maybe they can do something. Because I am the same way that, like you said, like I don't expect people to check that accessibility out themselves because no offense to people, but they don't necessarily always know what true accessibility means. And hopefully by listening to this podcast, you'll find out. But I'll research it myself and I am the best person to know if something is accessible for me because I live with it. You other people don't, and that's fine. I'll do the work to make sure that it's accessible. Just ask. That's all I want to be done is being thought of because I think it can be very isolating for us to make friends. That's part of why it's so hard in the first place, is because people just, it's, I almost get the feeling sometimes that like we're not approachable. Like people
Yeah.
just, they just feel odd approaching us. And it's like, what am I like Shrek or something? Like scary? Like I don't know.
I think people don't know how to approach somebody in a wheelchair. Like, I think it's uncomfortable, especially people who have never been around people with physical disabilities, because I think there are a lot of times where people just it's foreign to them. They're so scared of saying the wrong thing that they just don't say anything at all. I think you and I have talked about it a lot. There's someone that I work with that instantly I was like, oh, you know somebody in a wheelchair. Like just the way that you go about it, the way that you just have not ever stared at my chair, you just talk to me like I'm normal. And she does. She has a family member in a wheelchair. Like you can kind of tell the people that have been around it and are familiar and can kind of separate like the disability from the person in a way, I guess, where it's like, oh, like I see them as a person instead of like, I'm so scared of saying the wrong thing because I don't want to offend this person with a disability, which honestly, I'm not easily offendable. I
Oh,
think
me
the
neither.
things, yeah, I think the things that kind of irritate me a little bit are when people are just so uncomfortable that they're staring at my wheelchair, they're like staring at me, they don't know what to say. I'm like, just come up and say hi. I'm still just come up and say hi. I'm not intimidating. I'm just sitting down. That's not
Thank you.
intimidating.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I am the same way. I have had experiences of kids, especially kids, adults too, especially kids though. Like I've had experiences where kids will be staring at me and they'll point at me and they'll be like, "Oh, look, mom." And the mom like kind of shoos them and is like, "Stop it." And in
Yes.
my head, I'm like, "No, like let the kid be inquisitive. Let the kid ask questions because that's how people are going to learn. That's how they're going to get more exposure to people like you and I. But I do think there is a difference, and you said the quote of the year before we started this podcast, but there's a difference between kindness and friendships because you can be kind, but you don't have to be a friend. And that's kind of the whole point of this episode, of creating deep and meaningful relationships. I hate it when people are kind to us just to be kind and not to actually create a deep, meaningful relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I always appreciate when people are kind because I love kind people. I think it's awesome. But when you are like somebody that I see day in, day out, and you're kind, but you're not a friend, it's kind of a weird it's kind of a weird topic. I don't know if people who haven't lived this experience will fully understand that. But I think that there are people that I see every single day that are very kind people, but I'm not friends with them. I think they're great people. They just don't know how to make a connection with somebody who is different from them. And it kind of almost is isolating when people are overly kind, but not pursuing like a friendship or a relationship there. They just, I don't know, it's almost coming from like a place of pity. Like I feel bad for this person, so I'm always going to smile and wave, and I'm always going to tell them that I like their shirt. Or like, I don't know if you've had that experience where it's just very like surface level kindness, which is great. I love kind people. I appreciate the kindness. It just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. There are certain experiences that I've had where people that I see every single day are very, very kind, but there's not a deeper connection there. And it's kind of like I can still tell that they are very, very uncomfortable with me. And they want to be kind, but they're still uncomfortable. And so it's kind of a weird feeling because I can tell when people are uncomfortable. I think you would say the same. Like you can always tell when people are uncomfortable with you. Um, I think it's weird. It's almost like it feels like pity. Like it feels like pity when people are overly nice to me, but not a friend or not like a deeper connection there. Like if you're just complimenting my shirt every single day and you're never like, "Hey, how's your day? Good to see you." Something like that. Like maybe that's not the best example, but like pursuing some sort of connection, it's kind of weird. Um, I
Yeah,
don't know if I don't know.
I think that like I'm not saying don't be kind. Don't get me
No,
wrong,
no,
people.
not at
Like
all.
I love kind people. I think you should always be kind. I think the being kind and kind of almost like pretending to be your friend just because you feel bad for us, that is what I don't like. And I had a lot of that, I feel like in elementary school, of like, I had a lot of people I knew because let's face it, when you're in a wheelchair, everybody knows you, but you may not know everybody. Um, and like, people were very kind to me, but they would never want to be friends. They would never want to be a legitimate, like, deep connection friend, even though they acted like they were my friend. It's weird. I don't know.
I think it's kind of hard to explain maybe to people who have not experienced it because it's not just people being kind. Like kindness is an incredible thing. It's kind of where people are being overly kind, but you can still tell that they don't want to be like they don't want you around. They want to be kind to you, and it's kind of coming from almost maybe either a place of pity or maybe wanting to make you feel good or whatever. It's like a overly kind, excessive kindness without any deeper connection. It's very strange. Like I think the best example is there's I've had kind of interactions where people like compliment like, "Oh my gosh, it's so impressive that you can open a door," and like compliment kind of everything, but they've never asked me my name. Like they want to compliment
Yes.
everything, but they don't even want to know my name or like anything. It's a very odd or like because even I think like when I see people that I see very regularly, I'm like, hey, like how's it going? Good to see you, whatever. That's kind of not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that are like just overly complimentary. It's almost coming from a place of pity instead of just a genuine like I mean, there are people that have given me more compliments in my life that don't know my name. And it's a very strange experience because it's not something that ever happened when I wasn't in a wheelchair. Um, and I can compare those two experiences of like when I wasn't in a wheelchair, I could have people that I was acquaintances with that I wasn't friends with, but like you pass them kind of walking around campus, you'd be like, "Hey, like how's it going?" You know each other's names, you don't really know too much about each other, but you're friendly. You're like, "Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Do you need help with whatever assignment we're working on in school or whatever?" Um, Now it's kind of like, "Oh, like good for you for kind of what we said of like the inspiration stuff of being told you're inspirational, kind of everything like that that we
Yeah.
talked about last time." Um, and they don't even know my name or like have never asked like, "Hey, how's your day going?" Like good to see anything like that. It's a very odd experience, and I think it is so specific to living with a disability because I can tell you that it never happened without a visible disability.
Yeah, it's I don't know, the only thing that I can think of the best way, like from what you just said, is like it almost seems like, and maybe I'm wrong, you can correct me because you've had both of these experiences, but people weren't afraid to approach you and say, "Hi, how's it going?" or but etc. And now they're like, "Oh, like what happened?" Like
Yes.
they're like, "Oh, like I that she's different now. Like I don't know if I want to go talk to her or say anything." And it's just I get where they're coming from, but it doesn't make us feel good.
It's almost disingenuous now. Like before I was in a wheelchair, I would have like people were not afraid to come up to me. Like I had a girl in a coffee shop one time come up to me and she was like, "Hey, like what's that drink? It looks really good. I kind of want to try it." Super sweet. Now, I like that stuff kind of doesn't really happen anymore. Like people are afraid to approach me. And so it's almost disingenuous to me when people are being kind, but not I don't know how to explain it other than like I don't feel like they want to approach me. Like they don't want to I not that you have to be friends with everybody, but I think there is also a difference between being kind and being friendly. Because I
Yes.
think being friendly would even just be like, hey, it's good to see you around, or just have a conversation at all instead of every single day. It's just, oh, you're out and about again, or like some compliment, comment that's meant to be very nice and uplifting. It's almost disingenuous because I can think of a couple examples of just a lot of kindness, which kindness is amazing. I love kindness, and I don't think that you have to be friends with everybody, but it's kind of the division between kindness and friendliness and not bridging being kind to being friendly because it's a very odd experience. It's it's almost isolating when people are overly kind to me.
I absolutely agree. It's a very odd experience, and I
Yeah.
think if you're disabled yourself and you're watching this, you'll kind of understand more of what we're talking about. But we, hopefully, if you don't understand it quite before you're listening to this, hopefully you're getting a better idea now. But it is very eye-opening as well. I almost kind of feel lucky though because it truly has shown me who my inner circle is because it's so important in life to have an inner circle of like a core group of people in your life. Everybody needs that. And it's kind of given me that almost of like weeding out the ones that aren't really worth it in my
Yeah.
life.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think the way that I view things is like, had I not have ended up disabled, there would have been something else in life that would have taken those relationships away and those friendships and things like that. Because life is hard, it's full of hard things. But now I know the people that are around for the hard things and the people that want to get you through the hard things and the people that are so valuable and add so much to life. Because the kind of people your people are not the people that can't be there in the bad just as much as the good. So I do also feel pretty lucky with that. Like it still really hurts. The friendships that I've lost over being disabled, but the ones that I have that have withstood that are so much more meaningful and so much more valuable to me. And I know that those are friendships that genuinely, if I ever needed anything, I could call them and I could depend on them for anything. If I was like, hey, like just anything. The same for like these are people that I want in my life because I don't want the people who don't want me in their lives. So I do feel very lucky to have the people that I do and just to be surrounded by the people that I am. Because even in my job, like I'm around people that I know want me there because they go out of their way to make sure that I am there. And I feel very, very lucky to know that people want me around. So it is it's kind of cool in a way because you end up with people who genuinely want to be around and want to put in the effort and want to make the time and everything like that. So I think it is good in a way.
Absolutely. And I think that that's a big lesson that everybody can take away from today's episode is that just make an effort to reach out or, you know, if you're gonna reach out to be a friend, be a friend. Don't just reach out to be nice. Like that's it's what we feel every day going through that. So hopefully that can give people an understanding of maybe I should be more conscious of when I reach out to people and actually make an effort to be friends. If you guys don't jive, then you don't jive, and that's okay. Don't just reach out to reach out, though. I think there needs to be more intention behind that, um, because it can be a little excluding and hurtful, at least in my opinion, and it seems like yours as well. Like, have some at least just intention behind what you're doing, and don't just do it to do it.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think I don't ever want people reaching out because they think that they should. I want people to reach out because they genuinely want to and they want to know how you're doing and catch up and things like that because it goes both ways. Like, I want the people that I reach out to that I'm like, hey, how's it going, to also want to do that and not just reach out because they feel like they should because I did months ago. So now it's, like I want people to want to. So I would agree.
Well, you have been listening to the Rolling With It podcast that will wrap up episode number 2. If you missed it, go check out episode number 1. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, and keep rolling.